Are you a regular gym goer? Are you now deciding you want to get into Hyrox and become a Hyrox athlete? Then these are the things you need to take into account, and there's 6 things we're going to cover today. First thing we're going to go through is, don't forget about all the hard work you've done with all your other training. And what I mean by that is, you've worked in the gym, you've got stronger, you've built muscle, you've spent years doing whatever you've been doing. So when you start your Hyrox training, a big part of Hyrox is running. That doesn't mean you're then going to stop doing all your weights. And that might sound obvious, but when we did it, we have stopped doing a lot of weights unless it's specific to Hyrox stuff. And I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd kept my bench press in. I wish I'd kept in a squat, a deadlift, something, whatever you've got good at over the years, keep that in. It doesn't mean you need to keep trying to develop that, but what you want to do is maintain it.
Right, let's give them a backstory. For those that are new to this video, we were very much into our weight training back in prior to 2022. Then we discovered Hyrox and we said, yeah, we'll give this a go. And then we was like, we both don't really do any running. So June 22, we started a bit of running practice, didn't we? The more you run, the more you probably take off the weight training. And I didn't do any leg training any weight training on the legs, because I thought, oh, well, I'm doing sled pushes, I'm doing wall balls. Yes, that's all right.
We're still doing leg training.
Yes, but Hyrox specific.
So what you're doing, you're developing your strength endurance.
Yeah.
So what you want to make sure that you do as well is do some heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So what that could be, if you're training and your normal weight training might be, say you do 6 to 8 reps in a bench press, you then do a pull up, you then do 10 to 12 reps in an incline dumbbell press, then you do a load of more volume stuff for push and pull. You could still do the first 2 exercises as part of this new training as such, where you just do your bench press and your pull up, then you do your Hyrox style stuff rather than doing all the supplementary stuff to get you stronger, and that's what you're training for. And the way you do that is you have development days and stimulation days. So development days are pretty obvious. They're the days in your training where you're going to develop something. Stimulation days are designed to maintain everything else you've developed. So you could start your stimulation day with some heavy bench, some heavy pull-ups, then go into some other form of training of whatever you're just trying to maintain during that block of training. So unless that block of training's goal is strength, it wouldn't be then doing loads of more strength stuff. Because what you need to remember is, when you add in all that other volume of training, you have to recover from it. When you start adding in this new Hyrox style of training, you're going to have to recover from that. So the way that you can start doing all of this is by phasing the training in. And the way we did it at first was, we'd do our weight training session, and then we'd pick 1 or 2 of the Hyrox workout style ones and then go and do them. So that could be, we go and do some farmer's carries at the end of our weight training, or a bit of rowing.
Yeah, because bear in mind, when we added that on back in 2022 as a practice, I used to carry 16 kg dumbbells as a practice of the farmer's carry. Little did I know that I'll be doing 24 kg. I didn't really know what the weights were for the mixed doubles. And I struggled at that. Do you remember?
You might have had a relatively strong grip for doing your
good grip. I've got good grip.
But not endurance. That's why you couldn't do the farmer's carries for the distance.
Yeah.
I'd guess that's what fatigued first rather
Yeah,
than
I could do a good few. I could do probably 3 to 4 lengths of 20 metres, for example, but I couldn't do that many. But then I built 24 quite quickly, if I'm honest on that, because I had the grip. For pull-ups, for example, I could do 7 back in 2022. Then I remember trying it out last year and I could do about 2 or 3, and now I can't do any.
Yeah, so that's bad. So that's the opposite of what you want to be doing with this training.
The reason why I think it's good to keep on with your pull-ups is because it's be so good for the sled pull and push.
So once you've done that option of adding other bits in, the next thing that you can do is then start having more Hyrox specific days. And this is what the Hyrox Starter Plan pretty much is. It's what we did after doing that bit, where it's 3 or 4 days of Hyrox stuff. So you could still do your weights on the other days, and you could add in 3 days off Hyrox style training. And how the starter plan works is, it isn't easy. It isn't easy at all. It just gradually builds up over the time to get you so you can do pretty much the full Hyrox event. You could probably do the full Hyrox event anyway, but it's doing it in a way where you go, yeah, I feel all right doing the full Hyrox event.
What if people only train 3 to 4 times a week?
So you then just might do your strength training twice a week, and then do your 2 development days. And then so your stimulation days are your strength, and then your development days would be your Hyrox, to then push on with that. So that's how you can then do it, work in 8-week blocks, build things in, work on a priority. The priority in the starter plan, there isn't really one. That's the only one where it's just gradually building things in, building up your running. So you're starting off doing 10 10-minute blocks of running. And then by the end, you build it up to running for 45 minutes. And then with the event, you might do a third of the Hyrox event at the beginning of the program. And then by the end, you're doing pretty much all of the event.
That's good.
So it's building things up. So that leads us to number 3, and that's going to be developing your aerobic base. And again, there's ways you can do it. You can still do your normal gym that you're doing, then start adding in 30 minutes on the bike at the end, or 20 minutes of running, then gradually start building it up.
It's proper dedication when you say it like that, isn't it? The thought of doing a session in the gym at the time and then adding on 30 minutes of bike.
But then that's where you can change your gym session. So rather than if you're doing your gym session, you're doing hour and 20, you
just
can
do an
just
hour
go, I'll
45.
do 40 minutes of
strength,
my weights,
yeah,
and then I'm going to add in half an hour on the bike at the end of doing it.
Yeah, but you have to reframe it as well. Like, I had to do a lot of that just to make time for it all. And also you can listen to podcasts and this, that, the other on slow stuff, and that's what we do. Like on the bike for 30 minutes, I'll listen to a podcast, do some reply to messages and things like that.
Hey, you can watch these videos. I think we've done over 40 videos.
Yeah,
you pass the time when you're on the bike, because that's another.
Will it keep them awake?
Well, hopefully. So yeah, gradually start building up your aerobic base, and that's going to include building up your running, but just be patient with it. If you're not used to doing any of this and you haven't done much running in the past, you're going to have to build it up slowly, and that's where the bike can come in handy as well. So the mix of bike and a mix of running to develop that aerobic base, rather than going out and going, I'm going to go for an hour run, and then realise, yeah, this is tough going because I'm not a runner. Get used to pacing things, get used to building things up slowly and build that aerobic base, and that comes with a different style of training to what you're used to doing. And that leads us on to the next point of mentality. And what I mean by that is, if you're used to doing heavy weights, say, and you're about to do your 5 RM and your bench press, you put on your favorite song, you wait for the beat to hit and for when you want it to go, you ground out 5 reps, you then take a 3-minute rest. That's very different to then sitting on a bike for 30 minutes pedaling, going, yeah, this is so different. And the mentality of it is so different as well. And that is where it can help to find something decent to watch.
So for the difference there, right, so when I started doing weight training back in 2018, 2019, and you know this, don't you? I struggled with the slowness. So I'll do 5 reps and then rest for 3 minutes. So I was always fast and wanting to do reps like that, didn't I? You was like, slow down, and
lots of rest,
I wanted a minute rest because I was like agitated for the next move, and I wanted to get things, because I've come back from a HIIT boot camp style training. So then once I got used to weights and going slow, then to go back into Hyrox training, it was a massive like, oh yeah. And there's a lot of men and women that do weight training that actually shy away from cardio because of losing the muscle.
Yeah,
they're afraid of losing muscle.
Thinking you're going to lose muscle, you're going to lose your gains from doing it, which you're not if you're doing all the other stuff as well.
Well, yeah, you've just got to eat a lot, basically.
But the other thing with that is a lot of people, and I was guilty of as well, don't do cardio because I'm trying to get stronger. You know, when you go in, I just want to get stronger in my bench press, pull down, and squats and deadlifts. And then you just don't do it. When you then start doing Hyrox, you then have got a reason to go for a run. You have got a reason to do that half hour on the bike. It then changes your mentality because you've got a reason to do it. When you're just doing your weights, that reason to do it, yeah, you should for your health. For most people, that isn't enough. Most people, as soon as you're doing Hyrox, though, your training then changes. How you think of it then changes. So yeah, the mental side of things of doing a 8-minute anaerobic threshold workout where you're sitting in a horrible zone for 8 minutes, that when you're used to lifting 10 reps max on something and then resting for a minute and then going again, that's a very, very different feeling as well.
That is like, yeah, that's where it gets uncomfortable. I bet there's so many people though that have looked in and are doing these things now. And also it does help to have a Hyrox booked on, but I know it's hard to get them booked on nowadays. But even if you don't book on for a year, get a good year behind you of different style training. But you do need something to be booked on for, I think.
Yeah, it helps to have something to work towards because you know you've got an end date as such, something to aim for. The other thing that's important is recovery. And if you're used to doing weights, you'll normally go, yeah, week 1 and 2, I get some DOMs, so you know you're needing to rest and recover because you're sore.
I'm so sore at the minute, talking about sore.
You do a couple more weeks of training and then you're not sore. Then you change your program up, then you're sore again. You kind of know your body's saying you need to rest.
Yeah.
When you're doing Hyrox training, you might not necessarily get that same feeling. If you're doing a long, steady run, once you've got used to doing some long, steady runs, you might go, oh, actually, my legs don't really hurt that much. you still need to build in recovery from that. Just because you don't get DOMs doesn't mean you don't have to have a recovery strategy to make sure you're progressing from what you're doing and you're not training. It's the same if you did weights all the time. You know yourself, if you do weights all the time, when you finish your gym session, you're there. You recover, you're a bit stronger. You train, you're worse, you're a bit stronger. If you overtrain doing weights, you get weaker. It's the same with when you're doing your cardio stuff. If you just overdo it, you get worse and worse. Your body can only absorb a certain amount and then develop from it. So you need to make sure that recovery becomes a big factor in what you're doing. Just like when you finish your weight training session, you're getting your protein shake in. Same when you're doing your cardio stuff. It needs to be thinking about that recovery.
You need to think about
in
its food. I know people, we can forget about food when you're doing more training, can't you? Especially cardio as well.
I think a lot of people doing the weights, you always think protein. Yeah, you might think get your carbs in around training. It's going to be the same when you're doing your longer cardio training stuff. You're going to have to fuel in a different way possibly to doing your weight training session, where carbs are going to be then more important for what you're doing.
Yeah, so for example, we've changed our routine massively. So Steve's having a bit more of like recovery sessions at the minute, and I've gone into doing more back to strength work. And the DOMs are real at the minute. I'm literally struggling to walk.
Yeah, so a lot of the time when you get bad DOMs, it's because you've done more than your body's capable of doing. So that's where you need to be going. You probably overdid things a bit too much. Yeah. Even though people like that feeling of DOMs, you've probably done a bit too much. That's why when you start doing a new strength training program, you start off that first week steady, then you gradually build the weights and increase it over time. So that's the key to anything that you're going to be doing. So the other thing that you're going to have to develop is your strength endurance. If you've always been used to lifting 10 to 12 reps doing bodybuilding or lower reps for strength, okay, you might have chucked in some drop sets at the very end of your session or a few high rep things to finish. That ain't going to cut it when you then come into do Hyrox and you go in, you need to do 100 wall balls, and that's where you're squatting down. You now need to start doing more higher rep stuff, especially for your legs. Pretty much mainly for your legs. When you're used to doing weight training, you can still add in things like high rep leg extensions, high rep leg curls, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be where you go, right, you're just going to do high rep wall balls or lots and lots of lunges.
That's what we did though, didn't we? We skipped out on some. No, you wasn't so bad. It was more me, to be honest. I literally went, I'm not doing any weights on my legs anymore.
Part of it as well is when you're training heavier, you're developing your nervous system, which is different to when you're training lighter. So it's a different form of training. You kind of need both. But yeah, you start doing more endurance style workouts. It doesn't mean it has to be 100 reps of everything. It just means you need to start getting your body used to getting that feeling of the lactic build up and then clearance and getting your body good at doing it. And anybody who's doing their weight training, it's a little bit more of the finishing stuff you've been doing at the end of your training for building some muscles. High rep bicep curls, high rep everything. And just start hitting that endurance, I'd say especially on the legs.
If you found anything in this video that's triggered you can relate to it, comment below what they are. Because anything, we like reading it, don't we? We want to see more comments and actually hope that it's helping you guys.
Yeah, we do these videos to help people, don't we?
Yeah, so we're learning a lot ourselves along the way, like how we deal with things. We're very opposite to how we deal with things as well, which is interesting. And we're going to actually train separately for a short while and see what the next 6-7 weeks bring, to be honest. So as always, thank you for watching us, and we're looking forward to producing more content. If you've got any ideas of what you want to see, comment below and that will help us do the right kind of content for you guys.